Hello and welcome to another edition of the PHNX D-backs Podcast, right here housing on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of PHNX, and this is not Jesse Friedman next to me, as you can see. We've upgraded the coolness around here. I am proud to be joined by our friend from the DNVR Rockies podcast, the one and only Patrick Lyons. Patrick, thank you for classing this joint up with some wrestling knowledge, which we will get to later.
At least one, the most important wrestling knowledge to have. I appreciate you having me, Derek. Thank you.
Yeah. You know,
props to the Lord.
we deal with a lot of the same frustrations, which we'll get to. But I definitely have some questions about your feelings on this Arizona Diamondbacks team. This show is brought to you by the fine folks at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Jesse abandoned us for the rest of the week, which he is known to do. So, of course, I had to call in some reinforcements. But I know you have been out at – we're roommates out at Salt River Fields, essentially. True. We share the same field. So, first, what are your thoughts on this terrible weather that we've been experiencing while you've been here?
Oh, my God. Mid-50s?
Yeah, right?
Oh, this is atrocious.
Yeah, it's the worst, isn't it?
Well, right now, back in Colorado, they're getting like a snowstorm.
I heard.
Tuesday was
things
nice
are roads are closed down, things like
Wednesday, snow. So I think there was like a 60-degree shift in temperature. So it's rough. So, yeah, I'm fine with this.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
I'm not complaining like Jacob deGrom and the Rangers.
I will complain. I complain all I want is what happens around here. But of course, first, have you had any updates for being out at the Rockies camp? Have you seen anything on your guys' side that has been interesting? Any big stories or anything developing?
You clearly don't follow the Colorado Rockies if you're asking me that question.
Yeah,
no.
Nothing.
There's never anything either way, other than when the owner speaks is where it's always interesting.
Yeah.
No, a couple little injuries here and there. Nothing major, thankfully. Herman Marquez was the big hamstring strain. He'll probably be ready by opening day. So two guys having injuries that have pulled them out of the World Baseball Classic. But other than that, things are okay. Chris Bryant is fine. He's healthy. Maybe he'll be the aircraft carrier the Rockies think that he can be. Sure. And if, all goes well and everyone has a career year, they're 500.
Oh, wow.
That's the world I'm in.
Wow. Well, we were talking about if the Diamondbacks were waving the white flag yesterday due to the fact that on their schedule during the postseason, the very first week of October, they have Guns N' Roses scheduled at Chase Field and Pink. And it's I mean, I guess you could schedule around it. Maybe the MLB did give them some dates that were going to be kind of free regardless of how the postseason's structured, but I don't like it. I don't like that one bit.
They're gonna get a first round bye. So
there you go. I like it. I like your thinking.
That's almost the narrative of Major League, where they don't think we can make the postseason. Yeah. We are gonna rally around that and ruin the party for the GNR fans.
They're gonna have a cardboard cutout of Axl Rose that they'll remove one piece of small clothing off of every single win until they get to 90 wins? Is that think that's what it's going to take?
It might be.
Yeah.
There's actually a story. WWE hasn't had any pay-per-views in Denver in a while. I don't know if they've had too many shows in Denver for a while, and that was because the Nuggets had a playoff game and just kicked them out of. What was Pepsi Arena?
Yeah.
So
what would have been
WWE,
that night?
Boom. All because of the postseason.
Is that the first time in this show's history that somebody has brought up WWE before me? I think so. I think so.
That's
a
goal.
First. That's awesome.
I did it, guys.
All right. So I guess I want to know how jealous you are of the Arizona Diamondbacks as our NL West rival, looking over and seeing how many of the top prospects they had kind of ranked in the top, not just in the top 100, but how many of them primarily were focused in the top 30 on a lot of lists.
The Diamondbacks right now are very much a darling. For all around MLB. I haven't seen too many projections yet, or rather predictions of people picking them in the postseason. But there will be folks that will predict them to make the postseason, and if they're wrong, they're going to be right next year. So they were a year early. They're still going to feel really good about that. As far as the prospects go, I mean, it's all legitimate. It's these guys that are coming up have done it, and they've done it at a higher level, at AA and AAA. Whereas the Rockies, they're maybe a year or two behind. It
Mhm.
might be more like 2 rather
Yeah.
than a year,
Yeah.
because all their guys are in low A or high A, and
Yeah.
so Diamondbacks are ahead of the trend on that way.
I think that's
Looking
what
good.
I think that's what surprised me was to see some of the guys that were at like even for Drew Jones, who I don't think has played a single
Right.
game of professional baseball yet, being ranked so high and such. I mean, it's great, but it's still a prospect ranking, right? So at the end of the day, it's still not that it still hasn't translated over to the major league level. However, seeing Corbin Carroll out there at Salt River Fields, kind of doing some of the stuff that he's been doing, like. It gets you excited as a Diamondbacks fan. It gets you excited to see these guys this close, and also to kind of have like not just one prospect that you can be excited about, but like you're going to see Corbin Carroll kind of shine at a major league level this year, and then you can look forward to Jordan Lawler, Drew Jones. I mean, there's a succession of guys that are still on their way, so that makes it a lot of fun. What is the Rockies' path to success? The Diamondbacks owner Ken Kendrick talked the other day about that they have to do it this way. Like basically they don't have the revenue to compete with teams like the Padres and the Dodgers right now when it comes to their spending and everything they're doing. So do the Rockies have that kind of money and that revenue considering how full that ballpark is on a nightly basis?
They do have a lot more revenue than the Diamondbacks. That's for sure. The owner spends money. The owner's not cheap.
Sure.
They're usually in the mid-teens, maybe high teens in a down year. So they do spend money. It's spending it wisely.
How you spend it, right?
Which is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
They've yet to really figure out how free agency works entirely. To their credit, or rather to the disadvantage that they're dealing with. Free agents don't want to come here. So already right there, the cream of the crop is not going to want to play in Colorado. Pitchers will just never want to come here that have any value. And if you're a hitter, now you got to possibly overcome, if you're really looking at your legacy and you're really looking at maybe becoming a Hall of Fame type player, now Coors Field is going to be held against you, as it's been for Larry Walker. And we've even still seen now in this most recent Hall of Fame cycle with Todd Helton. So
like an asterisk almost next to your name because you played at Coors Field. That's kind of absurd, but I get also where that comes from. Like that's a rough that's a lot to think about when determining where you want to play baseball, for sure.
Yeah, even if you got park adjusted statistics that say, okay, let's forget about the fact that maybe Coors Field was a little bit homer prone in the early 2000s, late 90s. Let's forget about all the base hits that get dunked in to increase your batting average. You factor all those out and you say, okay, here's how good this player was on an even basis, and it still doesn't matter to some people. So they've got their biases. So the Rockies are kind of doing it similar to the Diamondbacks with homegrown guys. They've got to develop. They've got to make more trades. That's another big element to it too.
Sure.
Last week on the DNVR Rockies podcast, we were talking a little bit about the fact, the Padres, they had all these great prospects, and where are they helping out the team? They're helping the team out in the form of Joe Musgrove. They're helping the team out in the form of Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, guys that big leaguers that were traded for. So as deep as the Diamondback system is, if they don't come to fruition, or if the Diamondbacks think, you know what, we don't want to invest in these guys, trade them and then get what you do need. There's a lot of value in that. And the Diamondbacks, I think, do a much better job of, evaluating their players and their prospects to improve the big league product than the Rockies do. That's a major issue for the Rockies right now.
Jesse is lurking in the comments. Apparently, he said upgraded the coolness. I'm deeply offended. That I'm not taking it back. I refuse to take it back. Chris, yes, Jesse is a lurker. And Michael says, was there for workouts today. Gabby Moreno has a heck of an arm. He absolutely does. And he's got a pretty damn good bat too. So it's going to be interesting with the Diamondbacks having so much young talent, how it factors in to some of their seasoned veteran guys playing time, right? I mean, we have Carson Kelly, who has split time at catcher. He's had some injury problems and such, but the Diamondbacks seem very firm that he is going to be their starting catcher. And they seem very, very firm, more firm, that Madison Bumgarner is going to stick in the rotation. And it just seems like it's blocking some of the more talented young players. I think that's the mindset here. Really what it comes down to for you, I mean, obviously I know what the answer most likely is going to be, but, our team's making the right decision even when they have made an investment in someone like Chris Bryant or like a Madison Bumgarner, right, to play them if they have better talent on their roster that plays that same position.
In the Rockies' case, No, that doesn't make sense because you don't know what you have in some of these minor league guys or even just the younger players that sniffed the major leagues last year. They deserve an opportunity to see what you get. I mean, there's a reason why they're not top prospects, right? They're, you're a prospect until you're a suspect. And so a lot of prospects are suspects. So, you might want to give them that playing time. You understand it. But I think for the Diamondbacks, the Rockies dealt with this a little bit in 2018. They'd made a postseason in 2017. They did make it in 2018. There was a conversation about, hey, let's see Raimel Tapia, let's see David Dahl every single day. Maybe not Cargo so much, maybe not Gerardo Parra. But the thing about it is if you get rid of the veteran guys, where does your depth come from now? Now it's coming from Double-A. Whereas if you keep some of those veteran guys around, even if, that's blocking temporarily, that's okay. When those veteran guys fail, then the young guys can come up or they can supplement or just kind of, drip feed a little bit and slowly work their way into it rather than heaping all of that pressure on them to perform right away. So it is a little bit frustrating, but it's a system that, if you do the opposite, there's no going back to it. You're just kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
So
and you put a lot of you put a lot of pressure on the young guy. You've kind of pissed off the older guy, the veteran that feels like he deserves that time. We talked about this before, but I hate incumbency. I hate the idea of anybody unless you are an all-star, unless you're a Gold Glove, outfielder. I don't like the idea of competition not being there for everybody equally. I know what Madison Bumgarner has done in his past. I know what some of these guys have done, right? They're legends in baseball to a degree, but I don't feel like that's still the best reason to not have an open competition and have your best guys involved in the game. Like you said, though, that could be what the Diamondbacks see as the season goes on, because I don't think it's a guarantee. Obviously, if he doesn't perform well, when you have guys like Dre Jamison, Ryan Nelson waiting in the wings, Brandon Pfaadt that probably still won't be part of the major league roster when the season starts, just right there, it's hard to deny how you have this young talent knocking on the door and a very talented team, it feels like, to be kind of potentially drugged down by not having the greatest starting pitching, right? But I will say this. I feel like the realignment and the new schedule, possible realignment, we'll say, but the new schedule specifically benefits both of our teams. And not only that, but it gets a good chance to see some of these guys that we haven't had a chance to see in our ballparks, right? Yeah,
it's exciting. Yeah, basically, if you want to go on a road trip and see your team play in another market, you're going to be able to do it every 2 years. That's really neat, that kind of balance. I know for like the Rockies, and you guys have talked about it a little bit, the attendance, right? Like just people come out in droves and
we're so jealous of that. Like we really are, but I get it. It's, we, again, earlier this week, we were talking with Derek Hall and we had information about the Diamondbacks wanting to either upgrade Chase Field or move to a new home. And it's hard to deny, at least in my opinion, when you're like watching body language and excitement and the voice, how the voice goes up and down, the enthusiasm level. You couldn't deny that Derek Hall sounded a bit more excited about building a new stadium rather than trying to fix Chase Field. However, Chase Field is just, it's literally in the heart of Phoenix. It couldn't be more in the heart of downtown Phoenix, in the heart of the city. It just, it's because of the convention center and other things, other limitations, it's never going to really have a chance to grow into any kind of entertainment district like what you guys have, around Coors Field.
Yeah, a lot of fans, I don't know what it's like at Chase Field, but when the Dodgers and Giants are playing the Rockies in Denver, really great attendance because those fans travel really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were the big teams, just before '93 when the Rockies even came about.
Right.
And so in a way, for the Diamondbacks, that's one less Dodger series that those Dodger fans are going to be coming in. It's good if you're a season ticket holder.
It's a good point.
But that's going to now dip attendance. But now you might have the Yankees coming out, which the Rockies do. Or the Angels are playing, which the Rockies have that as well. So, I think there's checks and balances. I think it'll come out in the wash in general as far as, what attendance might look like. But it's the same thing, one less series against the Dodgers and Padres now in the NOS for both of our clubs. But now again, you are playing some of the best teams over in the American League.
I'm gonna give you. You might know about this from last season, but I'm gonna give you a concept, and I'm gonna see what your thoughts are as far as being a fan of a team.
Okay.
A versus hot dog that you can buy for every series that features toppings in honor of the opposing team. do you think that that's a bad idea, or like as far as catering too much to opposing fans, or do you like that idea?
I like that idea because
Yeah.
I also don't know that it is catering to other fans.
It's just
It's a
basically,
concept.
it really is. I mean,
It's a concept.
anybody could eat a hot dog, right? Like,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just, it's like,
It just makes it fun. If you're a season ticket holder,
yeah,
you know that when you go, other than when you're playing an NOS team,
bingo. There's always going to be
there's
at
a new
least
flavor
one
hot dog.
new thing, right? Exactly.
That's a
That's
good
actually
thing.
what a season ticket holder
Yeah.
told me, and I was like, that's such a positive attitude and way to think about it, right? Instead of kind of having that, you know, commitment to your team so strong that you don't even want to see a hot dog at a concession stand that is in honor of the opposing team.
Until the Diamondbacks buy a billboard in Times Square advertising to Yankees and Mets fans to come to Phoenix to get the New York style hot dog, it's for the season ticket holders, not for the opposing fans.
We're talking about in the chat Tapia not being on the Rockies anymore. As a D-backs fan, as most D-backs fans are pretty happy that is no longer something.
Yeah, he signed a minor league deal with the Red Sox now.
What is happening with that kind of stuff? Like, especially, did you see there was quite a few free agents that didn't get signed by teams that end up signing minor league deals?
Jose Iglesias isn't even with anyone right now, but for a guy like him, we were talking about this over at Rockies camp, had a really solid year last year as a shortstop. Because there are no places left to go, Elvis Andrus was probably the last guy, right? He's going to play second base for the White Sox after his deal a couple of days ago. That was kind of the last spot. Now, if you're Jose Iglesias or his agent, sit back. Just wait. Somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Now you get that big league deal. Yeah. Whereas if it's a minor league deal,
it makes it that much harder to get your path to the majors with that organization, particularly. Yeah, I could see that. At least with the injury kind of situation, you'll know you'll get that playing time and at least have a chance to prove yourself, because that's big. The Diamondbacks made some trades last year. They had some guys step up, and I mean, there was a lack of consistency, but man, there was this thing. The one consistent thing about the guys that showed up on this team was that they'd be on fire when they first got here. Whether it was a minor leaguer, whether it was like a trade when we got Emmanuel Rivera, there was just this thing where guys would perform well when they got here. And I don't know. I feel like a little bit of that is the coaching staff getting them fired up and pumped up and ready. But definitely with the minor leaguers, it felt like, you know, whatever, you know, information, whatever, you know, knowledge they passed on to them seemed to make them kind of calmly be able to make that transition nicely to a major league level.
Yeah, that's a huge piece, is developing at the big league level. It doesn't happen that often. It's very difficult to do. But there are some coaches that, you know, kind of have that ability. Brent Strom is one of those kind of guys. And you got all these young pitchers coming, you know, you're right there for him to work with. So that's a perfect match made in heaven. So the Diamondbacks and Diamondbacks fans, man, you guys should be really excited because there's big things happening, and they're going to be challenged in the NL West. And this is a good way to really kind of test your mettle and see what you've got and start building those storylines, because the window's pretty much opening this year, I think, in a real major way. You know, going back to what you were saying about Madison Bumgarner, one of the positives about potentially keeping him in a rotation is you keep him out there to possibly shop him and say, well, you know what, we're maybe a couple games over 500 at the All-Star break or at the trade deadline, but ultimately we'd love to get this contract off our hands. Now you can go and trade him and then further improve the future of the club. So yeah, Bumgarner being in the rotation now, you know, seems like it may or may not help you right now, but I think keeping him in the rotation now in a lot of ways helps you for the future, so that you can trade a guy away and so that you can protect some of these young guys, so that, you know, if they are left up in the big leagues and they've got a, you know, 5.5 ERA, whatever it may be, you might have to send them back down to AAA, and that's going to hurt their confidence. And so I think it protects them, sets them up for success a little bit more. Maybe one of them, you know, goes into the bullpen as like a long reliever potentially.
Sure.
And so it's frustrating, but you know,
it's a good problem to have in a way. I mean, I know, like, again, I know Madison Bumgarner, you know, obviously makes a considerable amount of money more than everybody else on the team and things like that. But, you know, the one thing that Mike Hazen seems so positive about when it came to him was that, you know, what he's done in his career is not something that you can easily bring to a team. And Mad Bum, I mean, I don't know personally how he is with the guys, behind the scenes, right? Like a lot of guys were much different. Zach Greinke was much different when we weren't there than when we were, right? So it's like
he's different. I hadn't heard that he's an odd cat.
He's
That's news to me. This is why I follow you on Twitter. You get those inside scoops.
He was a little weird. He was a little weird guy, but I mean, sometimes these guys are just incredibly different behind the scenes, so you never know how much of a mentor they're actually being, just because at times they don't seem to fit that mold, right? And Mad Bum definitely is in that portion of his career where hopefully he is sharing his knowledge with guys more, because there's a lot of value in that, even if it doesn't isn't value on the field, you know what I mean? But anyway,
no, I think that's a super important point. Bumgarner is not that old.
He's really not. He acts way older than he actually is.
That's true. And you don't want to know how old Dusty Saunders acts, but that's besides the point. He's like a coach out there on the field, like you said, imparting that wisdom on guys. And dude's got 2 World Series rings.
Yeah,
like that's something that if you are getting late into the season, those young guys, even if Bumgarner has a 5 ERA and there's somebody chomping at his heels, and you go, this guy should be in the rotation instead of Bumgarner. Bumgarner's got that knowledge. Hey, you know what? In 2014, this was going on.
Yeah.
Here's what happened in the World Series against the Royals. Oh yeah, it was one of those dominant performances. Yeah. That guy can tell these stories that the other players can benefit from. Again, not just in 2023, but going forward. So it's that like chemistry. It's the intangibles that you go, is $20+ million, worth the intangibles? No, probably not. But you get no intangibles when you're just picking some guy up from AAA to fill a spot necessarily.
Very true. And this team is so young that is one thing that they absolutely need, is that experience that can be shared with them. So, well, if you guys are here right now in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for being here, and happy Wednesday. I have AEW right after this, and I'm very excited to go watch some wrestling. Got the Danhausen shirt on. I know he is way more excited than Jesse would be, but
very excited, very evil.
Yeah, very excited, very evil. If you want to, make sure to sign up for a Diehards membership. Of course, you can get Jesse's wonderful newsletter. That's not going anywhere, even though he's not here.
I read it.
Full Count. Everybody reads it. You got to read it. It's good stuff. Also, all the wonderful writing from Howard, Gerald, aka Girth, and the one and only Craig Morgan. You also get access to a free piece of merchandise from our PHNXlocker.com every year, you remember, as well as 20% off all future purchases. There's members-only merch. There's members-only discounts. There is members-only access to our Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. So make sure to sign up today at gophnx.com. Also, sign up at Underdog Fantasy, because Underdog Fantasy does daily fantasy different. Of course, nobody wants to play a full fantasy season anymore, especially when it comes to baseball. Oof. So instead, what you can do is grab some of your friends, up to 5 of them, and you can go ahead and draft a squad for the night. Whoever gets the most fantasy points wins some cold hard cash. It's that easy. You also have a pick'ems game. I don't know if you know this, but I won $1,000 picking higher or lower on pitch counts for baseball pitchers during the baseball season, which is something they offer over on Underdog Fantasy.
Football is probably the only sport where people don't like tap out by the end of the season.
Oh,
and then
God,
when they
yes.
do, it's
God,
like
yes.
most of the season is done. In baseball, it's like you can't even get through May for some people.
Yeah, even if you're playing it, it just gets to a point where you're like, I don't care anymore, and I can tell the person that I'm playing doesn't care anymore. We both have like 3 guys that aren't even playing tonight in our lineup. It is what it is, but this makes it easier. So go to Underdog Fantasy. It's easy to get started. Go to underdogfantasy.com or download the app. Sign up with promo code PHNX, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. We had a little bit of a rules change discussion I wanted to go over with you, but before that, we have a little bit of breaking news because as you guys are talking about right now in the chat, the Arizona Diamondbacks announced their lineup for uniforms this season, and let's take a look at these bad boys. Looks like our little tidbit of information was right. The only white jersey is the one with teal this year. The white and sand jersey has gone away, but there is your lineup, including the Serpientes jersey, where I believe they're going. Didn't they have the white pants, I think, last year, if I'm not mistaken?
Last year they had the yellow pants, but the first year they had the white pants. They did bring the yellow pants last year. Also, the altered FNet logo on the sleeves. It's not a full block.
Is that right? Wow. We did it, you guys. We bullied them into getting rid of that big patch. I still see it on the spring training jerseys. It was interesting because today I noticed, kind of being close up to the guys, that the patch was made of a different material. Like, it's kind of a weird I'm sure they were trying to make it lightweight and not like as big as the normal patch. But yeah, it looks like the new patch still has the black background, but it outlines just the Advent logo without being a big square. But there it is, you guys, the 2023 uniform lineup. What are your thoughts as an outsider on the D-backs jersey choices here?
Well, I'm excited about this performance patch that you're talking about.
Oh, yes.
Here. This performance material. Is it water wicking, perhaps?
It might be water wicking. It looked like it was water wicking. I don't know.
Wow, with new water wicking patch. That's fantastic.
It's some space age material, let me tell you.
There are going to be Rockies fans who are going to be upset by this because you guys get 5 jerseys.
Yeah.
Rockies are limited to 4 for some reason.
Do you guys still have the license plate City Connect?
We've got the license plates.
Okay.
Yes, which are great.
They are great.
They're widely regarded as one of the best.
I love them, actually. Yeah.
It's really good. They looked good when you first see them, and then they look good on the field. No, the black vest is just RIP. So Rockies have just
what is with the vest? Like the vest, I love the vests. I love vest jerseys.
Did you know that in the early 2000s they had a white pinstripe vest?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
Dope.
I remember that. That was a good one. Yeah, absolutely. All right, are you a purist when it comes to baseball? What are your feelings on these
Here's the thing.
changes?
I'm old school, but I understand you've got to adapt.
Yeah.
You've got to change the game.
What's made the game take so long? Why over the last 40 years?
You got clip, snap, clip, rub it.
It's all fucking batting gloves.
Batting gloves. What the hell? What are you doing out there? You're protecting our hands? No.
No, man, but for real, it does feel like it feels like they have, in fact, like somehow, I mean, I don't know. The other day I was saying, like, we didn't have analytics. Like, now there's so much information that's trying to be passed along during the course of the game in real time that's coming down from analysts to coaches to players, right? So it's like they try to do everything they can to extend it out and get as much time so that they could pass that information along to each other. But man, it's kind of really it's been the focus of these rules. It feels like, aside from the bases being bigger, even the shift kind of feels like it's something that they're trying to do to speed the game up. I know that's for offense and such, and but I feel like even that is to try to keep them from constantly moving guys around, which then takes even more time.
Yeah, no, I'm in favor of all the rules. Honestly, I think they're all great. I think there's a perfect counterbalance in a lot of ways where, well, if you did this, then they get an advantage, but you actually can't do that.
Sure.
Like, say, you got a pitch clock, and so you only have so many seconds to throw a pitch. Well, what if you keep stepping off? Well, you can't, because that's some disengagement.
Yeah.
That would be considered a balk, and so then the guy moves up a base.
Yeah.
All these different things. There's so many wonderful
or like the batter having to be in the box by 8 seconds and be
right.
ready for the pitch, right? And like that, there's all of this. Like, it feels like there's always going to be advantages for somebody, but then, like you said, it does counterbalance. The most telling thing that I saw was when they pulled the numbers from AAA, and we talked about this before, but how close everything really was, right? We're talking about shaving 25 minutes off of it, average game time, while at the same time not impacting the game in any way, shape, or form, pretty much. Like, ERA was slightly different. The batting averages were slightly different, a little bit more walks, a little bit more stolen bases, but literally 0.1 percentage higher than what it was without these rules.
Sure. Yeah, it's balance. And for anyone, and I haven't heard too many people like making this argument of like, oh, well, it's going to ruin certain statistics or whatever. That's happened over time. Sure. MLB allowed, the PED era, and that skewed things. Yeah, that was a shame. That was a bummer. MLB allowed that to go down, and we've had different eras. 1968, the year of the pitcher, and then they decided to lower the mound for 1969. Yeah. There's an expansion in which you say, oh, now the talent pools has been diluted, and so now it's going to be a little bit easier against some of these pitchers. So there's going to be a balance. There are so many interesting. One of the things that I sort of thought about yesterday, Daniel Bard basically pulled me aside to have a conversation with me for about 30 minutes. Former D-backs
absolutely,
coach, and possible current closer for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. Let's
go.
But we were going back and forth. What about this? And what if you did this? Player fouled the ball off his shin, just a light graze, and then got back in the box a little bit slowly. But he was right at the 8-second mark. Okay, whatever. Sure. Got back in. You go, he probably would have taken longer normally, right?
Yeah.
But he got back in. The next batter goes and fouled one off really hard to his knee, and he went down with the trainer. So I said, well, wait a minute. What if they kind of reacted differently? What if you slightly graze a ball off the top of your foot, or even if it just hits the dirt in front of you? Is the umpire going to know that you got hit in the foot or not? Well, regardless, you can possibly implement a soccer style flopping.
Oh, no.
And you go down on the ground.
No, Patrick, no.
Call the trainer
Why are you
over.
giving them this fucking idea? Oh
Buy
my God,
more
I hate
time.
this so much. Oh, you're right. But no, you're totally right.
If the trainer has to come out, I mean, pitchers have, they've said behind closed doors, some pitchers like, well, yeah, but just if you call the trainer over, I don't know, I feel something in my hamstring, just to catch your breath. There's a runner on second base, you got to sort things out.
Yeah.
There's going to be certain workarounds. Now, MLB has been clear, like, hey, look, these rules are in place for a reason.
Yes.
And if you start abusing things,
if you start
we're going to tweak it.
Right. Absolutely.
So, like, they're allowed, the left fielder is allowed to come in behind second base. That's because there's still two infielders on both sides of second base. They're still on the dirt. You're still within the rules.
Are you bringing up the man in motion rule that they brought up there? Because this was hilarious to me. It's hilarious to me that baseball teams were like, here's these rules. What do you guys think? And they were like, what if we do this?
Exactly.
And they were like, well, don't do that. But that was hilarious to me. The thought of trying to get an advantage from setting your shortstop essentially as like a man in motion, like in football, where he still has 2 feet in the dirt on this side of second base. But by the time that pitch is hit, he's essentially already positioned on the other side of the bag.
And I think you can review that
defensively, right?
And then that's going to take more time too.
They straight up said no. Like if they do that, the umpire will basically give them a warning, and if they continue to do it, then they'll assess them a penalty. But a penalty is still just a ball, right? So it's like if you do that and try to get slick with it, and they catch you, you're just going to get a ball. I think that's the part of the rules. Like aside from the balk, when it comes to the disengagements and throwing over to first base, only a maximum of 3 times, and if you don't get them the third time, they all move forward. Like everything else seems reasonable, but for me, that's I think the one thing. And I guess I was going to ask you, do you think that there will be any tweaks to these rules as, considering right now we've just opened Pandora's box as far as fucking with baseball, right? So it's like at this point, do you just continue to tweak the rules if certain things are a sore point this whole season with, almost every club?
I think so. I mean, I hadn't thought about it until the second. There's a chance that they might even relax some of the rules because it's just too much. Right there's so
Chris
much
says it's
happening
like parenting a precocious child. Like no matter what, they're going to try to find some way to break the rules on you, or just be adventurous enough to go around whatever you set up.
Or what if they don't get it? What if you've ever been a teacher and you're asking a student to do something and you're like, are you playing dumb or do you not actually get it?
Do you really not understand this?
We need to tweak the rule. We need to change those rules. At the end of last season, when all this was announced, I asked some of the most veteran players in the Rockies clubhouse, and they were like, why are they doing all of this at once?
Yeah.
Like, do it over 2 years, maybe?
It seems like a lot. Yeah. It seems like a lot for especially pitchers to think about. Honestly, even when they were talking about the umpires wearing the buzzer device so that way they could focus on the strike zone and not have to look at the clock. I was like, oh my God, the umpires are going to have so much going on in their head now too. They have to watch this batter. They have to watch the pitcher. They have to watch the pitch clock. They still have to be, they have to look at stuff on the field to make sure nobody's violating any of the shift rules or trying to send a man in motion. And then they also still have to call balls and strikes at the end of the day, which they shouldn't. It should be a goddamn robot. We all know that. But
that's why 10 umpires retired at the end of last season.
That's right.
But that's, again, also good for the game because you got these younger umpires who have better eyes. Right. I got a wrinkle for you. How about this one? Again, talking with Bard. You throw over, Trey Turner's on first base, right?
Sure.
He's a burner. You got to keep him from getting second base. It's late in the game. You throw over twice, you don't get him.
Yeah.
You step off the third time, you throw over to first base, Trey Turner is stone. He's a stone. He's dead to rights. First baseman tries to tag him. He runs to second base. Naturally, hey, Pickle, we got him. You throw to second base. He cuts back, gets back to first base safely. Guess what? He gets second base.
Yeah.
Because that was your third disengagement. Yeah. You didn't get him out.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right.
He was in a pickle by the spirit, but no. So whether he gets to first or he gets to second, he gets second base.
Well, and that's the thing is people act, I've heard that brought up a lot where they're going to get this gigantic lead. I'm like, he can still throw over there.
Back
though.
pick.
You're still
it's going to be the back pick, I think, is going to be the thing.
Yeah,
You're probably not going to throw over. A couple guys have already said, I'm never going to throw over. So we're just going to have a generation of John Lesters.
Yeah.
They're never going to throw over, which is fine. But then, because now you already got a first good lead, a first lead, then a better secondary lead, you got to be cautious because now the catcher is going to throw down to first base.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to see. If you have a catcher that's able to do that really well, you could have a nice little advantage.
Well, and it just goes to show how important catchers are going to be when it comes to some of this stuff because I don't know, but I mean, especially when it comes to the pickoff throws and such to keeping guys. I feel like it's going to come down to the catcher being able to still do it how they used to, versus like the pitcher is just going to have that, that idea in their head that they don't want to, create that box situation or get close. I don't know though. The one constant that we were told in that meeting the other day was that shit didn't really change. Like, people still threw over, the game still rolled on. As much as you think that it's like, wow, you're really limiting them to 3 max. It's like, yeah, but believe it or not, that's kind of on average how many the most is that they throw over, at times. You're going to have your exceptions to the rule. And yeah, there's going to be a couple of pitchers, just like the fact that you now have to set your feet and come to a complete stop before you can actually deliver the pitch. But I don't know, man. I still can't wait to see how it plays out. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the Diamondbacks having a fast young team, especially also
it's a good thing.
young pitchers coming up in the system also that kind of have already experienced this. Like, we talked to Dre Jameson, and he's already been doing a lot of these rules. And even though a lot of guys aren't big fans of them, they understand that it's just going to be something they have to accept.
And they had younger bodies. Cardio game, you got to hope is going to be good. I don't know if this is true. You tell me. In Arizona, do they play up the altitude here? It's 1,000 feet above sea levels.
No,
a lot more so than sea level.
It's never talked
about,
but
it's not really anything, right?
It was talked about.
It's a non-factor, right?
It felt like it was talked about a lot more before they had the humidor, because they were one of the first teams that had the humidor, and then. Yeah. Like, one of my favorite conversations one time was hearing Mike Hazen on the field on a phone call say, well, the opposing teams don't seem to have a problem hitting it out of here. And I don't know who he was talking to, but I think I know what it was about. And I think it was about the damn humidor kind of being like the scapegoat for the Diamondbacks' lack of offense that particular season, when, it was the same ball the opposing team had no problem hitting out of here. But I don't know. I think that for the most part, this has been viewed as, if you were talking about like, where the dial falls, probably more of a hitter friendly ballpark than pitcher friendly for sure, but still nothing like what you guys deal with in Colorado for sure.
Well, I asked Bud Black about that today, and he said, and I could see it kind of going the opposite way, because playing at altitude, you go, well, there's also a disadvantage because you play at altitude.
Right.
Like, you're used to it, but also that there's a lot of wear and tear. But there could be an advantage for the Rockies, because pitchers, again, if you see them throw 15 pitches, when they threw the pitch, if you're looking at their heart rate, if you have a heart rate monitor, you see it peak.
Yeah.
Now, because you got to throw those pitches with nobody on base at the 15-second mark, that valley, because you're not able to rest as much, isn't going to go as low for you to catch your breath. So it's going to be almost a cardio workout, and doing it at 5,280 feet in Colorado,
like, that's
could be a potential advantage for the Rockies.
That's a true home field advantage, right? No, I mean, honestly, like, with pro wrestlers, there's been pro wrestlers that have had health issues due to going to Colorado and wrestling there, right? So it's just it's fascinating to me how that really could play into this situation.
I think the Rockies need to hire Bobby Lashley as a strength and conditioning coach.
So we solved that.
Strength and conditioning. That's how you do it.
If you guys haven't noticed, I've been drinking wonderful Four Peaks beer, and you can too. There's all sorts of wonderful events, including pro wrestling tonight, but all sorts of stuff here in the month of February. So make sure to grab yourself a Four Peaks beer. And of course, check out their calendar for all of their events. I've talked about it so much, but I can't wait to build the official PHNX beer can derby car. It's going to be electric, and we are going to cheat to win, because if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But if speed and adrenaline is your speed. The Beer Can Derby is on February 25th at Four Peaks 8th Street Pub in Tempe. Kit pickups are open now, so if you want to show you got the fastest beer can in the valley, sign up through fourpeaks.com/events. You can face off against us and lose. Must be 21 years or older to lose, and must lose responsibly and enjoy responsibly. Also, Jesse isn't here, so I can't razz him about his stupid furniture in his house. But again, since he's not here, make sure to message him and give him all of your ideas for how he can actually make his cool Scottsdale condo even better. I'm fearful of how he's going to furnish that place. I really am. I don't think he's getting enough advice from the friends at morefurniture.com for sure.
He just has, I'm sure, white walls. He's got a poster of Scarface up. Like, it's just very bachelor pad.
Oh man,
lame,
I would lose my shit if Jesse had a Scarface poster.
It's just. We get it.
Yeah,
Two bachelors live here.
Yeah, we get it. You guys are studs.
And a Ninja air fryer on the counter. Okay.
Oh, well, you guys are cooks too. We get it. Okay. But we again message Jesse. Let him know what furniture he should buy from morefurniture.com. Buy him some furniture if you're rich. And otherwise, save big on the best furniture in the valley yourself when you head to morefurniture.com. Last night, speaking of giving people things, Patrick gave me the greatest gift that he's ever given me, that anybody quite possibly has ever given me. And as you know, Jesse, our friend, our correspondent, our dedicated baseball writer, he hasn't experienced a lot of things in life. I will say, though, that this man proceeded to razz me quite a bit about professional wrestling, about being a professional wrestling fan. You guys know he rolls his eyes when I bring up professional wrestling. That's why I have Patrick here, so we could talk wrestling on a night where wrestling was in town. But last night, while out to dinner with our very own Jesse Friedman, Patrick sent me, not sent me nothing. He called me through FaceTime because he wanted to see and record my reaction to finding out the information that Jesse Friedman didn't know that professional wrestling was scripted. Now,
say it again for the folks out there, please.
Professional wrestling, for those of you that also may not know, like Jesse, is scripted. It's a predetermined feat of athleticism, if you will. I'm not going to call it anything else because I'm going to go hang out with these guys tonight, and if they see this, they're going to fucking kick my ass. But what I will say is, it's very athletic. There's a lot. They could get hurt. They could kill themselves on any night. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing to take away from pro wrestling, what these guys do. It's absurd how much they literally put their own physical well-being on the line every single night for our mere entertainment, and for guys to go onto Twitter and comment about how much the match deserved 2 stars instead of 5 or
They're
whatever.
Stuntmen on a nightly basis.
That also have to be actors, right? They also have to cut promos. Right. Some of them have to do their own makeup. There's a lot going on when it comes to pro wrestling. But last night, and Kyle Dannon said it best, wrestling is modern day theater. Thank you, Kyle. A man of class and style and dignity himself. But last night, Patrick recorded my reaction, and we have the video of my reaction. This is me in my dark house. There you see, basically what I'm saying is, what do you mean, Jesse? What do you mean, Jesse? What do you mean, Jesse? What do you mean you didn't know pro wrestling? I think I was just screaming it over and over again. I couldn't believe that Jesse was mortified, and he knew it was going to be because he knew that I was going to lose my shit when I found out that he didn't know it was scripted. But like, my biggest thing is, how do you not know it's scripted when you're mocking it, right? Like, if you're mocking it, I feel like that goes hand in hand with you knowing that this is a predetermined sport.
I've thought about this all night. I didn't sleep at all. Hence the bags under my eyes. I even talked with Jesse about it afterwards. We had a post game conversation,
a heart to heart, yeah.
And yeah, it's like Santa Claus. That's the thing. Everyone assumes everyone knows because you learn about it, so no one talks about it.
Sure, at
like,
some
for
point,
example,
you're not like actively trying to be that ass that like reveals it to people that may not know, but those people that you think of that may not know usually are under the age of 12, and that applies for both situations.
If you or I are on each other's podcast in December and I go, "Hey, what do you got on your Christmas list?" The other person not gonna go, "Hey, Derek, you know Santa's fake, right?"
Yeah.
Like, why would I say that?
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah,
you're
just being an asshole
at a certain point, and maybe the cutoff is like 20 years old.
Yeah,
you stop saying when somebody mentions pro wrestling, "Hey, you know it's fake," because everyone knows.
Everybody knows.
You
right.
turn 20.
It's redundant. Yeah,
and you're like, a year until I can drink alcohol, and I know wrestling is predetermined.
Yeah, right. Correct.
On your 20th birthday.
Sure.
That's just a natural thing that happens.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to Jesse, where no one ever pulled him aside and say, just the old trope of it's fake. Like, okay, fine. You figure out what that is. But we were talking about it because Vinny Duber of CHGO White Sox, we were talking about Ryan Herrera. He knows a lot. He covers the Cubs. And he was doing the whole thing, like Montreal screw job. I'm like, whoa, you know your stuff.
Yeah,
He's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, all right, well, it was the whole thing. And, Bret Hart didn't want to turn over the belt to Shawn Michaels. But it was predetermined he was supposed to do that. And we had said it a couple times, and Vinny got it. He understood what we were talking about. And Jesse looks at me and goes, "Well, what do you mean it's predetermined?" And I go,
"Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Jesse.
This is not real." And I'm like, what do I do? And I save it for tomorrow. No, I gotta film this somehow on FaceTime. I've never done that before. I will learn.
Yeah, you didn't get the sound, but you did pretty good. I tried. I'm okay with it. But
it's stunning.
Yeah,
like, he did not know.
Derek,
and that makes all of the crap he's given you less sense.
Yeah,
it makes less sense because if he's under the impression
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like if he was under the impression that these guys are really breathing fire and there's clowns that can kick people's asses,
720 splash off the top rope,
right. Like why hasn't he ever seen that in a UFC fucking match? Why hasn't anybody ever come off the top rope with a fucking elbow in a UFC match?
They talk about how great of a fighter John Jones is. He's never given a poison rana to anyone.
I hate this.
To the Santa Claus comparison, imagine thinking that there is a magic man who delivers gifts once a year, slides down chimneys, flies all over the world, and thinking that actually happens, but being like, nah, that's stupid as shit.
That's so
but you
dumb.
make fun of for people.
That's what I'm
like,
saying. Like, Santa is lame as hell. He does have 9 magic reindeer, but he's lame.
He's fucking, the reindeer, were reindeer cool? I mean, of all the vehicles that he could drive, he chose reindeer?
Santa's so lame. He gives gifts to people he doesn't even know and just totally loads up their tree.
And then doesn't stick around to wait for their reaction or to get a hug or nothing, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And adults are like, here's some milk and here's some cookies to make you more lactose intolerant and morbidly obese.
Also, I just don't understand how, if you thought that wrestling was completely real, not scripted at all, how you could think it's lame. Like it is.
The two don't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't go together. It doesn't go together. So
somewhere there's Dana White and Vince McMahon are like, we need more crossovers.
Yeah.
We need more Brock Lesnar types.
Right.
When is Conor McGregor going to throw his hat in the WWE?
Oh, that's why
ring?
Dana White slapped his wife because it was a slap fight thing. You know what I mean? It was good cross promotion. You know,
could have been.
I thank you for being here. Maybe come back while you're here in Phoenix. I want you to stick around.
I think I might do that.
You know,
I can talk plenty of Diamondbacks.
I know you can. I don't have to. We can also talk Rockies. It's fine. We can also talk how much we hate the Dodgers.
We can have a jar and like anytime next time I'm on, maybe soon. If I mention Rockies, I'll throw a dollar in there for the big end of the year pizza party that I'm sure everybody has.
I'm interested in talking about the 2004 World Series. Or not the 2004, 2007, excuse me.
Yes.
World Series.
No. I don't think they want to talk about that.
No.
I'll talk about it.
Absolutely not.
I grew up a Red Sox fan.
Not on this fucking show.
Record.
I'll be damned.
I will be damned. Eric Burns sliding in. You know Usain Bolt, how fast he is, and how he slides across the finish line head first, like Eric Burns.
Oh,
just saying.
I hate you.
Just saying.
Maybe you're not coming back. I don't know, but we should go.
Hold on. Do you guys have a 25th anniversary logo?
We do.
There is one?
We do. I've seen it.
Nice.
I don't know if they've officially released it yet, but
you've seen?
I've seen it. Did they? They do. They do. It's that time. It's that time.
Rockies did theirs in-house. It looks nice. It's fine, but it's just kind of.
When you look at their giveaway items, there's a lot of teal. There's a lot of teal on all the giveaway items. There's a lot of teal at the team shop. Speaking of the team shop, they also have the Team USA merch in-house. And if you go to the Chase Field for the WBC games, they are actually, I know this because of my contact at the team shop, they're like removing all of the Diamondback stuff and putting like all of the teams like merch in there. So there's going to be lots of WBC merch to be purchased at Chase Field. So make sure to show up for that. And also, I might take this guy with me this weekend, but show up to Octane Raceway in Mavericks. It's the best place to race go-karts. Of course, it's the best place to have fun. Today is Winning Wednesday, half-price arcade games all day long. There's daily specials every day at Octane Raceway in Mavericks. Plus, it's the best place to be, I guess, a kid as an adult. Not only do they have the racing, but they have all sorts of option bowling, arcade, all sorts of fun events. We were out there. I beat Jesse in bowling, regardless of, he tries to act like because we weren't in the same lane, I didn't beat him, but I beat everybody. So
it wasn't predetermined.
It wasn't predetermined, right? We did not talk about it ahead of time, but you can book some fun this spring at Octane Raceway in Mavericks. Kart racing, virtual reality, laser tag, axe throwing. He refuses to throw axes with me, and I don't know why. I don't see why. Bowling, arcade, great food and drinks. They've got it all over at Mavericks, and of course, lots of space for you guys to go out there and enjoy. Check out octaneraceway.com and mavericks.com to learn more and to book a group event. Also, for events like tonight's pro wrestling, if you're looking for last minute tickets, hop on Game Time. Use our link. You can save up to 60% on tickets when you buy tickets last minute. The best way to support us by buying your tickets through the link in the description. I might get Patrick to buy a ticket real fast so he can come with us. But
that's true.
Of course, procrastinators unite. It's an aesthetically pleasing app as well, right? Like it's very beautiful.
It's almost like a dating service where you're linking two people up. We were saying, hey, I have a ticket I can't use.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a ticket that I want.
Right.
Boom.
Boom.
It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
It's love. It's Game Time tickets. I got seats at a Red Rocks show for $15.
Holy cow.
The iconic Red Rocks.
That's amazing.
15 using Game Time. That was like a decade ago.
Don't tell my wife that because she'll be sad. She loves the Red Rocks and wants me to take her to a concert there. So we need to figure that out. And when I do, I'm going to use Game Time to get those tickets. Check out Game Time at gametime.co. if you're looking them up online, or grab that app. As Jesse would say, it's a beautiful app. It's aesthetically pleasing. Patrick, thank you for joining me, my man. I appreciate your time. Let's get
Always
a handshake.
pleasure.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to head over there for you guys checking out pro wrestling. I hope to see you guys there. For all the rest of you, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. Patrick is at Patrick D Lyons. Jesse, he's still around. He's at Jesse N Friedman. But our show is at PHNX D-backs, and all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for being here, and love you as always. On behalf of this guy, Sean, and myself, we appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's more fun housing when I curse you.